Good morning, I'm Hanaima Curtis. I'm a senior studying theology here at LeTourneau. I'm here with some friends, and we're going to be talking about being a theology student. So would you introduce yourself, your name, your major, your hometown, and what year you are?
I'm Michael Tan. I am a sophomore. I'm double majoring in biology and theology, and I'm from Sherman, Texas.
I'm Jillian Moore. I'm from Hawesville, Texas, and I'm a theology major, and I'm a senior. You kind of see it as this branch of, oh, it's a degree. Oh, that's what people go to seminary for. That's what pastors are for. It's kind of put on a pedestal in a way. At least whenever growing up, that's what I thought. Like that was only for pastors. That's not applicable to me. So it feels kind of something that's, at least in my generation and the people that I grew up with, even growing up in church, I just kind of assumed that theology was some far off thing. Like even Christian ministry, I felt that was more applicable than theology. Like not necessarily that I couldn't do it, but that it wasn't something that everybody was called to, that everybody needs to include in their life.
I think some Christians think that studying theology will make you super legalistic, and it's all head knowledge and academic knowledge and not actually relational knowledge, which is a valid concern, but done rightly, studying theology will lead to deeper intimacy with God and relational knowledge with Him. I just also would combat that misconception because, again, done rightly, theology will lead to relationship with God and worship of Him. But, yeah.
It's not at all as a holier than thou kind of thing. Like I'm studying theology because I knew absolutely nothing before, and like you said, coming to learn it is how to live rightly in the world, and it's extremely practical.
I think the only thing I'd add is pretty much exactly on the same lines as what you're both saying, but thinking about the incarnation and Jesus, He has His human body, and on earth He was fully present. He was appearing in one place at one time. And so when I think about the incarnation of Jesus and then I think about my life, I'm like, oh, Jesus, He was present and He was there with them and He walked with them. And so in my daily life, if it's like being present with school, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be here and I'm going to focus on this. Or if it's my friends that need someone there for them, I'm going to go sit with them and be fully present with them because that's what Jesus did for me and for the whole world. So I think that's one way that I can think about how my understanding of theology impacts my daily life. I think our generation, we have very short attention spans, and I am one of those people who has a short attention span, and it's really, a lot of it is due to media. Like everything is so fast paced. We can go somewhere, get what we want, and get out, and I think we can do that in Christianity. Like we're going to the Bible and trying to find something good that speaks to us to right now, and we're going to grab that and walk away, and that's what we have. But in Christianity, we get to have a relationship with God, and relationships aren't you just consuming one thing and leaving like how we do with media. It's sitting and it's getting to know someone and walking with them and learning to trust them. And so my hope for our generation is that we just take more than one moment to be still and get to know God and be known by Him. And I think that can be a little bit of a challenge for us.
I think one of the biggest one is a misunderstanding of the church, a lack of appreciation for the church. And when I say that, I don't mean going to church on Sunday. I mean being in community, with fellow believers. We right now are the church. And that misunderstanding partially comes from our church is, I feel like the importance is not conveyed. You go to church on Sunday, you get a teaching, you sing some songs, and then you go home. But it looks like every day you are with your fellow believers, living life, sharing each other's burdens, sharing each other's joy. yeah, I think a misunderstanding of the church.
Could you share an example of sharing burdens or joys in your life, like with the church?
To answer your question, my first semester here at LeTourneau, I had my gallbladder became infected, and I had to get it removed at 1 a.m. One night. And I had been going to One Hope, which is a church we go to, and the pastor, he had met me one time, and like he came in early in the morning to see how I was doing in the hospital, and like we hardly knew each other, and like we've developed on the relationship since then, and we were in a koinonia group for Lent this past season, and he has been going through like so much with his wife. She had cancer. She's been through a lot, and so like him sharing that with me, like him sharing his life with me, and then him also sharing that with the church, like the pastor who like you usually think of like, oh, like he's far off, but like no, like he is like extremely good at like bringing you in and making you feel like family.
With the church specifically, like Michael was saying, I think that we have in our generation, I think that we have a very misconstrued idea of God, because the church is often viewed as, as like a more of an event or a club. I think nowadays, at least in my experience and what I've heard, it's just God becomes more and more foreign the more and more that we put him away, like put him in a box in a way. And I think that the people that I have talked to in my generation and even in older generations, they're just noticing this shift from in mass numbers away from the church, because if we don't have a right representation of God or a right like knowledge of who God is, or even who we are to God, then why would we want anything to do with that if we don't fully understand it? And if the church isn't putting it in terms that we fully understand or that we can understand, then obviously there will be a separation. And that's just what I've noticed, like you're saying, like churches become just more of an event to go to rather than a choice and a delight to do and a joy.
So I'm a peer advisor. Well, this year I was a peer advisor, and basically I help introduce freshmen to college. So I'm in a class with them that's basically kind of adjusting them. Like I meet with them, see if they need anything, see how they're doing, and provide like personal advice, like really just like a built-in friend kind of. And yeah, I've loved it.
I am a leader on Delight Ministries team this past year. It's been really good being able to learn how to be on a ministry and to be able to be a part of a team and to serve God together. I'm the service and event coordinator, and I'm also the social media coordinator. So I have a couple of hats that I wear in the ministry, but it's basically a weekly ministry. We also do different events on campus. This past weekend, we actually did a retreat to a lake, and where we just had fellowship and we just hung out with each other and just did life together. And then throughout the year, we do different events, like we do a worship event, or just we have a meal together, or different things like that.
Right now I'm serving as the president of LeTourneau Student Ministries. So LSM's mission is to empower students to serve on campus, in Longview, and around the world. So we do that by supporting ministries like Delight, spring break missions trips, and any ministry that students lead either on campus or off campus.
There are many times this semester where I've just been very sort of burnout in a way in ministry, because with a lot of things in serving in ministry, you pour a lot out. You pour a lot out of yourself, of what you're learning, of what you're doing, your time, your efforts, and that can be a lot sometimes, especially on top of other work and schoolwork, especially in other relationships. It's really difficult to be able to do all of those things well and excellently. And so there's been a couple of times this past year where I've just kind of questioned, did God really call me to this if I'm feeling this way? And how do I make sense of how I'm feeling, and how do I go about this rightly? But I think that the thing that the Lord was teaching me the most was that it doesn't matter how I feel or how prepared I am or whether I feel equipped or not. He's the one that's called me to this, and I'm here for a purpose.
One of the things that's been the most challenging for me is because of my position, like as a woman who's in a leadership position in ministry, some obstacles have come with that, in the way that people think about or interact with me. So there have been a lot of challenges there. And in that, the church, even though it's like some Christians who are not that nice, it's been the church who's brought so much healing and encouragement and support. So my family in particular has, like, their support and their encouragement has really meant so much to me in the times when I'm so done. They've encouraged me so much. And another group of people who have supported me is the School of Theology Vocation. All of the professors there, they have all gone out of their way to encourage me in my personal walk, but also in my leadership position in ministry. And so that has meant so much to me. And that's been I have support. There are people around me who I get to walk with, and so I'm gonna keep walking. But yeah, if it wasn't for them, I'd be done.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny. Hospitality is also one of the biggest struggles with it. Is it's kind of the same thing, but that's what's hard about it as well. Is giving up that time. All the time.
Okay, that wraps up our conversation. Thank you guys so much. It was so fun to talk to y'all, hear a little bit more about your stories. If you're interested in studying theology, you can go to letu.edu/apply and learn more about it. And if you're a high school student who's interested in learning more about theology, all of us would highly, highly recommend the Passage Institute. It happens every summer. And it's just a taste of what life is like as a theology student here at LeTourneau.